It is 7:15. Well, another week and another round of heavy job cuts. As many as 800 Sydney workers will lose their jobs over the next 2 years after oil giant Caltex announced it would close its Kurnell oil refinery on Botany Bay.
For the working people who are getting this news that over the next few years, as the refinery moves to shut down, that there won't be a job for them, this is a tough day indeed.
Now, Qantas has also announced it's axing more positions with 164 staff likely to go by September. And earlier this week, Victorian car parts manufacturer CMI announced it was closing, resulting in the loss of nearly 120 jobs.
Well, let's get some reaction now from our big guns of politics, Environment Minister Tony Burke and Shadow Treasurer Joe Hockey. Gents, good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Tony, if I can start with you, the government says it's going to work with Caltex to try to find new jobs for those affected employees. What exactly and how are you going to do that?
The first thing is to make sure that everybody gets their entitlements, and the company have been guaranteeing that, which is important. You then have your job services which go in and try to find and connect people to their next job. And the fact that there's a good employment market at the moment is really important with that. But you also want to make sure that you match people as closely as possible to the skills and the experience they've got. And that often, for some people, involves levels of retraining as well. So they're the forms of engagement. I'm obviously for both Qantas and for Kurnell, because of where my electorate is, my part of Sydney, there's a lot of families affected by this, and it's a difficult time for people. So when you're dealing with these challenges, you'd rather be dealing with it at a time when you've got a strong employment market. There's lots of countries in the world at the moment which have got the same sorts of stories without new jobs to go to. So you just try to make those connections as best you can.
But Joe, it is a strong employment market in the West, which is sort of skewing the averages. Not so much on the East Coast, though.
Well, that's right, Koshy. There is some structural change in the Australian economy at the moment. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. It's also the case that things are getting a little tougher with a carbon tax and a few other things in place that are unnecessary at this time. But I'm over here in Perth, and when I got off the plane and went to collect my baggage, there's a big sign there: if you want a job, call this number and come and work at the Wheatstone project. And I'd say, it's no great comfort to people, but if you want jobs, go west. Go West Australia, because over here, mate, I've got to tell you, they're all looking for workers.
Yeah, well, hopefully, Tony, that'll be the next stage, and I guess we've got to do all we can to make sure everybody's aware of that information if they want to. But gee, help them in the meantime with all the industries that are suffering. The other topic, gents, I want to talk to you about is earlier this week, 7 News revealed a secret plot to reinstate Kevin Rudd as leader if Labor's fortunes don't turn around in the next couple of months. Tony, have you been involved in any discussions regarding a leadership reshuffle?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I think you understand my frustration with it all. I've been giving the same answer all term. It's been my view that at the next election it'll be between Julia Gillard and Tony Abbott. That's always been my view. It's still my view. A really simple example. We talked about a moment ago about jobs in Sydney. I made an announcement 2 days ago out at the University of Western Sydney about 350 new jobs out there. Good announcement, supported by both sides, but every question I was asked about was about the issue you've just raised, about one job. And so
you've got all the backbenchers who are staring down the face of being out of a job, probably including you as well, if you keep Julia Gillard in the leadership position.
Well, my view with all of this, Koshy, has always been the best way to get yourself re-elected is to be the best possible government and be doing the best things out there. Now, I've just given you an example, squarely on the jobs front, of something that I'm quite passionate about in job creation. Now, I'm getting the chance now, and I'm grateful for it, for people to know about that. But you wouldn't have seen it on the news. The only question I was being asked about was one person's job. And as long as there's a party, that's the only conversation that we're involved with, then you get the reaction you get.
All right, Joe, the Prime Minister's numbers are way down, as are the opposition leaders, Tony Abbott's. I know there's a bit of a grassroots campaign at the moment to possibly unseat him and prevent him from being our next Prime Minister. A few names have been bandied around. One of them has been yours. Have you been approached?
No. No, and Tony Abbott will be the leader of the Liberal Party and will be the next Prime Minister, I hope. And I strongly support him. He has my unqualified support. And I'd just say to you, it's not the general public and journalists that are speculating about Labor leadership. It's in fact people like Joel Fitzgibbon and people in their own ranks that are actually trying to undermine Julia Gillard. Now, I know Tony Burke is a big fan of Julia Gillard's. He is her #1 card carrier. And look, that's the sort of price you have to pay for going with someone who is desperately unpopular in the electorate.
Okay, so it's fair to say both of you have every confidence in your respective captains and coaches. So we'll leave it there.
Absolutely.
Great. All right. Thank you for that, gentlemen. Have a great weekend.
See ya.
Morning.
All right, we'll see. 21 minutes past 7 o'clock.